All right, so if you're joining in on this practice today, hey Melissa, you're just gonna need a pillow, a blanket, maybe a block and some water if you have it. We're gonna go through some yin poses. You can feel free to stay as long as you want in the poses. It'll probably be about 40-45 minutes. And if you haven't done yin before, I do have a 2-hour flow posted online. I know that sounds like a long time, but I promise you it goes by really fast, and it just explains a little bit more about what yin is, and it's nice because you get the full body benefits of it. So we're going to get started. I'm going to come right to it in butterfly pose. So I like to sit up on a blanket or a towel a little bit just to give my hips a little lift. You don't have to do that at home if that's not comfortable for you. But draw the soles of your feet together and just start to walk yourself down. If you have a couple of blocks, I only have one, it's not going to be enough for me, but if you have a couple of blocks, you can create a little tower to let your head relax down onto. And I don't want you to worry about having your heels drawn all the way in. They can be out a little wider. And just let your upper body relax all the way down. So as you're in these poses, I'll talk to you a little bit in the beginning, just kind of guiding you through the practice. If you are brand new to yin, I won't be getting too much into all the details around it today, but just know that at any point if something becomes too much, if there's burning or you go completely numb or tingling, you can always ease off of the pose or just come out of it altogether. You may notice as you hold the poses too that the sensation starts to change a little bit. Maybe it becomes a little less and you can fold down a little more, or maybe it becomes more intense and you just back off a little bit. Slowly start to make your way out of the pose. And if you're sitting on a blanket or a pillow, remove that. And just come all the way onto your belly. Resting here for a moment. You can rest on your cheek or your forehead, whatever's comfortable for you. All right, and then coming into Sphinx pose, I just want you to press onto your forearms and make sure that your elbows aren't all the way back. You want your elbows just slightly ahead of your shoulders so you have some nice support here. And if this is enough for you, awesome, stay here. If you'd like a little more sensation, sometimes simply curling your toes under can add that. A little bit more, you can bend your knees. A little bit more, you can press onto your palms. And maybe this is too much for you. You can take a pillow or a blanket, kind of slide it in towards your armpits and let your arms extend out long. And you'll still get that mild compression in your low back. So take a moment to find which variation you need. And then allow yourself to find stillness in this pose. When we're practicing yin, we usually come into a pose and we play our edge a little bit to see where our body needs to be today. But then we try to remain relatively still. But again, if there is any pain, if anything becomes too much, you can always adjust. And same thing, I'll just say that when we come out of a pose, we often want to come out very slowly and gingerly because we've been holding our bodies in a position for longer periods of time that we can often feel really achy. Sometimes we feel like we've aged 100 years. So in between most poses, when we come out slowly, we then hold a resonance pose or a recovery pose for a brief period of time. And that simply is lying on your belly or your back or maybe resting in a child's pose. And slowly start to lower all the way down to your belly. And if you'd like, you can draw one knee up the side of your body just to release your low back here. And if you have your knee drawn up, just slide it back and bring your other knee up towards your side. And then slide both legs back again. And we're going to be coming into a few different poses that are all going to target the upper body. So first, coming into open wing, you're going to send your arm out long, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to start with my left so you can see better. Your palms face down, and then you're going to roll onto your left hip. And I want you to roll over and let yourself relax. You don't have to worry about keeping a leg up or your arm up. It can rest in front of your face, or it can reach up and around. And once you're there too, you can play with the arm that's extended, maybe walking it up towards one corner of the room. Maybe you walk it down. And slowly roll back onto your belly. And right away, we're going to come into this on the other side. Send your right out arm long. Roll onto your right hip. And it's okay if it feels different side to side. Take a moment, see what you need. Maybe your left arm rests in front of your face. Maybe it reaches up and over. In these upper body poses, we tend to not hold them for more than a couple minutes. In yin, you can hold a lot of poses for upwards of 6 minutes, sometimes even 10 minutes, but the upper body usually doesn't need as long. It's a smaller area and becomes a little bit more intense. So just know that if you're ever doing this at home, you don't want to go too long in these, otherwise you might need some help getting out. And slowly roll back onto your belly. And just for a moment, press back into child's pose. You can reach your arms down by your side. So we are moving a little faster today since we are limited on time on the live videos, but know that if you're ever practicing at home, when you come into these residence poses or these in-between poses, you typically want to stay for 1 to 2 minutes, and it's 100% normal if you feel sensations such as a rush of energy or tingling or heat or cool. I typically feel a lot of warm sensation. But know that all those sensations are normal. So we're going to come into melting heart pose next, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different variation. So hopefully you can see. I'm going to walk my hands out. My hips are just slightly past my knees, or behind my knees. And I'm going to bring my hands together and then bending at my elbows, getting in a little bit more of an extra tricep stretch, but also getting into my lats. And you might feel this more intense or less than I am. So if this is too much, keep your arms extended long. And then just to add to that, if you want to make this a little more crazy, maybe you have really open shoulders. I do not, so I'm very envious of you if you do. But you can prop your elbows up on a block or bolster and let your head and chest fall down towards the ground. All right, and slowly slide all the way back to child's pose. And again, reach your arms down by your side. And slowly roll on up. Okay, so for this next pose, it's a twisted child's pose. I'll show you from a couple of angles so that you can hopefully get a good view of it. If this is too much, then just come into a child's pose with thread the needle with one arm under, or you can lie completely on your belly and cross your arms and let your head hang down like that. We're getting into the backs of our shoulders here. But for your twisted child's pose, I'll face you to start. You can start with one arm kind of bending and pressing into your opposite shoulder. And then from here, you're going to take the shoulder, the arm of the shoulder that's being pressed, and wrap it around you. And then you relax your head down. Now you should mainly feel that in your rhomboids, the back of your shoulders. If the twisted part's a little awkward for you and you can't completely wrap your arm around, that's okay. I can't either. So this is what I do. When I'm wrapping my arm around, I tuck my hand in my pants. And it kind of gives me a little anchor there to hold on to. And that way you can relax into the pose. And then of course, the more you walk your elbow to the opposite side, the more sensation you can create in your upper back. Slowly start to make your way out. And we're gonna come right into this on the other side, so we'll take our resonance pose after. But this time I'm taking my right hand, pressing it into my left shoulder, walking my elbow across my body, and reaching my left arm up and around, and anchoring my hand into my pants so it will stay put. Remember, if at any point this becomes too much, you can completely come out or come into a thread the needle or that Sphinx variation with your arms crossed under your body. And slowly start to make your way out. And I actually just want you to sit up for a moment. So let your arms relax heavily by your side. And if there's time after this practice, there's a more yang-like stretch variation that I can show you to get into your shoulders there. It's been one of my favorite stretches lately. All right, so coming into a crowd favorite, we're going to do dragon pose. So I want you to send your right leg forward and sink your hips down. And I want you to stay high for a moment, just so you can really feel your hips sinking down, relaxing your upper body. And if you don't really feel too much here, or maybe you just feel like stuck, you can't go any further, you may have hit compression in your hip joint, which means that you might want to walk your right leg out a little wider, and then you can bring your hands down, create a little bit more space for yourself. And of course, if you have blocks or pillows, you can always use those under your hands or forearms. Okay, I want you to press yourself back to down dog, and I want you to resist the urge to pedal your feet. I want you to just try to hold your down dog in stillness here. And I know that this might not seem very yin-like, holding a active yang pose, but just how we have more yin-like poses at the end of our power practice or any yang-like practice that we do, there are places for having these yang poses in a yin practice. And then I want you to step your left foot forward, lower your back knee, coming into a dragon on the side. And again, I like to start high, just to really feel my hips sink forward. And you can stay here if you need to create a little bit more space for your hips. Walk your front foot out and come down. My yin yoga teacher loves to say that a dragon a day keeps the doctor at bay. So no matter what your feelings are towards dragon, you can remember that, and hopefully it'll make you feel better. And again, press back to downward facing dog. Trying to just hold here. Notice the sensations, what you might be feeling. So then lower all the way down to your knees. And we are going to come into a crowd favorite. It'll be the last of the intense poses, I promise. But we are doing toe stand. So you're going to curl your toes under, and then you're going to sit back on your heels. So I'm doing this with you. I'll angle a little so you can see how my feet are. And I really just want you to try to relax your shoulders. It can be helpful to turn your palms face up. And try to just simply notice your breath here. Notice how maybe your body starts to react. I know that this isn't true for everyone, but usually when I first come into toe stand, it's not that intense. I feel like, oh, this is pretty easy. And then usually about 20 seconds in is when it hits. And I remember the first time I did it, I couldn't stop making faces. I started breathing really heavy, and I noticed my reaction to the pose. And my teacher at the time said to everyone, quit the drama. And as kind of funny as it sounds, I realized that the moment I stopped making those faces, breathing hard, adding all this extra flair to the pose, yes, the sensation was still there, and yes, the pose was still uncomfortable, but I was making it harder on myself. And so when I stopped those things and I was just sat with it, it became easier. And that's not to say that I don't feel this pose any less, because I absolutely do, but it really helps me to kind of remember and to recognize my reaction to things. Just last week I stubbed my toe and I started to yell really loudly, breathe really heavily, and I kind of thought, okay, what if I don't do those things for a moment? I can't change what happened, I can't rewind. It hurts, I've already stubbed my toe, but I don't need to make this worse on myself. So that's usually what I equate toe stand to. You're almost through. Try to just notice your breath. See if there's any other part of your body that you can soften. And then slowly lean yourself forward. You can uncurl your toes and give them a little wrap. And then keeping your toes untucked, just sit all the way back and lean back here for a little counter. And see, just when we think our toes are going to snap off or this is the worst pose in the world, before you know it, we're on the other side and we realize we're okay. And that's something I think especially now too, whether it's something small like stubbing your toe or something big like pandemic going on, that you can try to remind yourself that We can't change it, we can't control it, but we can control how we react and how we handle ourselves through it. So now coming into nice juicy pose, we're gonna take Swan. So send your right leg forward, slide your left leg back. So this is pigeon pose for those of you that mainly do power yoga. In yin we call it Swan. You can take the regular variation with your hip lifted, or more relaxed variation, leaning on your right hip, letting your back knee bend, and then folding down. And one movement might be more intense for you than the other, or target your outer hip more than the other. So I want you to take which one you need. And I'm gonna take my pillow to rest my head down. Start to lift yourself up. And I want you to bring your leg back and come all the way onto your belly, resting here for a moment. And then pressing yourself up. We're going to come into Swan on the other side. So sliding your left leg forward, right leg back. Take a moment to see if you need full Swan, or what some of us like to call sleeping Swan or lazy Swan. And then make your way down. Slowly start to lift up. And you can just move your pillow or bolster off to the side. And this time I want you to bring both legs around front and come all the way onto your back. And just rest here for a moment. Okay, we're gonna come into banana pose, where you're literally gonna make your body into a banana shape or a C shape, but you keep your whole body, the whole back side of your body on the mat. So you're gonna just walk your shoulders over towards the left side of your mat, and then walk your legs over towards the left side of your mat. And your arms can just come out wide or goalpost. Or if you want to get into your upper body a little bit more, you can grab opposite elbow. And hopefully you have a good visual on this here. But you want to really feel the stretch down the right side of your body if you're curving towards the left. And then to get a little bit extra sensation, if you'd like it, you can cross your right foot over your left ankle. Very slowly uncross your legs if you have them crossed. Release your elbows if you're grabbing on. And walk yourself back through center. You're going to go all the way over to the other side, walking your shoulders over to the right corner of your mat. Then your feet over to the bottom right corner. Maybe again you grab your shoulders, or this time or your elbows, this time you just let them go. And slowly start to come back through center. If you'd like, you can hug your knees into your chest. And then I want you to set up for your final resting pose. I always love to have a blanket for this and a little pillow. And just give yourself a couple minutes here, and I promise I will guide you out. Start to deepen your breath. Bring movement back into your body. And when you're ready, bend your knees and roll onto your favorite side. And with your eyes closed, come to a seated position. Hands to heart. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today and for taking time for yourself. Namaste.